Okay, this podcast is going to go into a little more detail about mounting file systems, specifically how you set your file system to mount on boot time. The previous podcast you should have watched would have demonstrated how to how to format the file system, create the file system on your disk, and how to mount it. This one's going to show you um, how to make it mount at boot time. So first off, if we look at, I ran a couple commands. So here I ran this command, ls/dev, before I attached my new virtual disk. And I had VDA, VDA1, VDA2. All right, and if I ran mount, I had normal stuff mounted, and then I had dev VDA1 mounted on boot, and dev VDA2. Well, it didn't. Did this show? This volume group was created on dev VDA2, so that's where dev VDA2 is. And then I used this tool within the virtual machine. I use Virt Manager to add a new disk. You guys don't need to do that. I'll add the disk for you when it gets to be time for that. And then after I added the disk, I did ls/dev again. And now I have a what the heck? Oh, wait, no, here it is. I ran ls/dev again, and now I have a VDB. So I have the new disk attached. Three things I need to do. One of those things is I need to make a file system on it. I think this was the syntax for that. Hopefully it'll work. I don't recommend running commands that you're not sure the syntax of, but I do it all the time. So there you go. So there I created a file system on my dev VDA B disk. I didn't put anything fancy on it. ext4, right? So now if I want to mount it, I need to create a mount point. I'll create a mount point called, oh, I don't know, slash data. How about that? That sounds like a good one. And then I'll mount it, hopefully. Mount /dev/sdb. Is that what I said it was called? VDB. VDB/data. So there, now if I run mount, my file system is mounted on /data ext4 read write. So let me create a file in there. Touch riches file. Sorry. Touch/data/riches file. So now I have a file in my /data, right? So if we remember, if we unmount, mount the file system. Remember from the other podcast, hey, look, check it out. Oh, sorry. Hey, check it out, my file's gone. Well, it's not gone. I just unmounted it. So if I remount it, hey, look at that, it's back. It's like magic. So that's mounting the file system. An interesting thing to do from a system administration perspective would be to have that file system get mounted every time. And there's a file that controls which file systems get mounted, and that's the fstab file system. fstab file, etc. fstab file system table, I guess it probably stands for. So anyway, if we look in here, you see we have some entries. The format of the thing is the first thing you want to, let's look at the bottom because that's easiest. The first entry in the line is what you're mounting. So if this is a device, a physical disk like we have, it'll be dev something. The second thing is the mount point. The third thing is the type of file systems. Here we have proc, ext4. Defaults, that is specifies some things that tell mount some stuff. So let's see. I looked it up because I didn't even really remember. Fourth field, no auto, RO, user is a default list of options which mount should use when mounting the file system. So if we just put default, that's what's going to get used. This field is the dump field, I think it said. Where'd my browser go? The dump field if that is 0, dump utility will not back it up. If it is 1, the dump utility will back it up. And the last field is the FSCK, file system check utility, to determine the order with which the file system should be checked. I don't know if you've ever booted a Linux system that has been off for a long time. When it comes up, it says, it's been X days since file system check. We're going to check the file system. So that tells the order in which it's going to be checked. So in order for, a word of caution, if you mess this file up, will your system boot? It depends on how you mess it up. But it is entirely possible that you could mess this file up in new and inventive ways that would prevent your system from booting. So I'm going to get out without writing that because I forgot what my file system was already called. VDB. So I'll edit this. I'll go /dev/VDB. The mount point is data. The type is ext4. We'll take the defaults. The dump, we don't want to back it up. And the FSCK order, we'll put 2. We already have a 1, so I don't imagine it works if we put another 1. So we'll put 2. And now we will get out of there. So our file system is currently mounted. So let's unmount it. So, /data. So a cool thing about once you put it in that file, you can normally now do just mount data. Mount /data, and it found it in the FS tab. You notice I didn't put the slash the first time, so it's like, hey, I can't find that in the FS tab. So when I put the slash, it actually mounted it. So now it's mounted. And now if I reboot my system, in theory, when it comes back up, it should also be mounted. Let's sit here and watch it boot. All right, so it's back up. So let me SSH back in. Why SSH? I don't know. I just like SSH. And my data was mounted. So there you have it. That's how you can create a new file system and have your system mounted on boot time.